Hello and welcome to the Beth Emmanuel Kollel. I'm Aaron, and we are studying Parashat Chukkat today, and so we're gonna jump into chapter 19 of Numbers, of the book of Numbers. And yesterday we covered, or not yesterday, Wednesday we covered verses 1 and 2. Today we'll jump in with verse 3 and take a close look at the Hebrew language expressed there. So I will share my screen with you, and you can take a look. I'm using a website called Sefaria, which you can find at sefaria.org, Sefaria, or just look at the bethemmanuel.org website, bethemmanuel.org/Kolel for the link. And here we are, Numbers 19, Yod Peit 19. So we're at Parashat Gimel right here, and I will start reading it. Unitatem otah el Azar ha-kohen vehotzi otah el michutz lamachane B'shachat otah lefanav. Of course, we're talking here about the para aduma, the completely red cow. And we just read before that basically that the command, speak to the children of Israel, take to yourself, or take to you a completely red cow that has no blemish and has not had a yoke upon it. And now continuing on from there. All right, we have this word unitatem, and so this comes from the verbal root nun, tav, nun, and that nun got dropped off, the final nun of that root. So the tem on the end is a part of the verb conjugation, and so the root natan means give. So you've heard like a phrase like noten haTorah, or ani noten lecha, giving. But Natan, or the name Nathan, actually comes from this. Natan means he gave. So anyway, natatem, which would mean something to the effect of you have given, and it's speaking plural. But then this vav in the beginning reverses it and makes it the imperfect tense, which is more future, or in this case, more of a wish. It's like an instruction. So you shall give, ultimately, is what this means. Unitatem. So we're reversing the apparent tense, and now otah. Otah is like this word et. Here's the et. That indicates the direct, definite, direct object. And but then it's got this ending on it, the ending, that is the feminine feminine ending, feminine third person singular ending. So basically what happens is this whole word becomes the pronoun, not just the definite object marker. It's a definite object pronoun, which ends up meaning it in this case, but it's feminine because we're talking about the para, and that's feminine. So it is the cow, and so you shall give it otah, or you could translate that you shall give her, but we're talking about a cow. So you shall give her, or give it, the cow. El, we run into this a lot. This just means to or toward. In this case, it's to. El Azar, and this is the name of one of Aaron's sons. El Azar. Yeah, you can see God has helped is the translation of his name, because we have God, the El, over here, El, and the helped is Azar. Which, by the way, this name Elazar ends up coming into Greek. It's very common to drop the aleph in this in this name, and so then the person just gets called Lazar. And yeah, there's somebody by this name in the New Testament because it comes into Greek as Lazaros. So that's the name. That's the Hebrew name behind Lazarus is Elazar. Anyway, Ha Kohen. So Ha is the definite article, and a Kohen is a priest. And in this case, we're talking about the Levitical priest, the sons of Aaron. And so this is his title, Elazar HaKohen. So Elazar the priest. So you shall give it to Elazar the priest. Okay, the Hotzi. And this comes from the root Yod Tzadi Aleph. Yod Tzadi Aleph. So if it were in the call form, it would mean to go out, to come out, to exit, and go forth. So in Hebrew, we've talked about this a little bit before, but I'll explain it again. The Hebrew has patterns of verbs. So the same 3-letter root, or sometimes sometimes 2 or 4, but usually 3-letter root has a variety of different ways that it can be made it into patterns, into verb patterns. And through those patterns, it gives it each verb a different sense. So in the simplest form, this just means to go out. This is actually the Hefil form, which is listed down here. And so Hefil tends to be a causative verb, to cause something, to do something. So in this case, we're causing something to go out or come out, which we could say to lead out, to bring out, and so on. So this is the same word that we sometimes will say when we're saying, we will always say, if we're going to eat bread, we will say, Hamotzi lechem hina aretz. So hotzi is just the third person, or like past tense, hotzi. Vehotzi reverses it, so it's he shall bring out. But motzi is just like the kind of the present tense of the participle. So it's the same idea. Or we might say, Hotzianu mi Mitzrayim, he took us out from Egypt, right? Same phrase. So to cause to go out, to bring out, to lead out, and so on. So this becomes he shall bring out, he shall take out or bring out, lead out. And then otah again means it or her, right? Same word as we had here before. So he shall bring it out. El, to or for, to or toward, I guess. Mihutz. Okay, we have this is chutz, is the basic root here. Chutz. That means outside. And then this prefix mi, usually we'll translate that. Usually you'll find that in dictionaries, and it'll say it means from or then. But when it's in like a preposition, like prepositional phrase like this, michutz, it's hard to translate by itself. It's just describing a position of something. So michutz together just basically means outside. So like what I'm saying is chutz is the outside of something, right? As a noun, michutz is more of a preposition, ends up meaning outside of. You see what I'm saying? So if you're thinking about outside as a noun, as a thing, as a place, then it's just chutz. But if you're thinking about it as a preposition describing it's outside of something else, it's a relationship in space, then it's michutz. I don't know if that helps or not, but that's the idea. Mi ends up being on with a lot of those prepositions, prepositional phrases. Now we have la machane. So machane means camp. Machane is camp. It comes from the root, this root right here, chet nun he, but it's a noun. So that means to encamp, but machane is a camp, place where you've camped and parked. This is the root that we get for modern Hebrew for parking, parking lots and things like that. So the la in the beginning kind of goes with this. Michutz la is a part of this whole phrase, outside of. That's just how it works. You want to say outside of something, michutz la, and then whatever it is. And this holds true in modern Hebrew as well. So So, Afo, whoever, you'd say hu michutz la bayit or something like that. So outside of, and so machane is camp. Great. So next, vishachat. Okay, so shachat comes from the root shin chet tav, or shin chet tet, means to slaughter. Up here, kill, slaughter. And then, so nowadays, a butcher or a ritual slaughterer, I should say, in a Jewish community is called a shochet. He slaughters, specialized in slaughtering according to kosher law. But this is a verb, and it appears like it is in the perfect tense, which is like past tense. But then you got the vav in the beginning, which is reversing it and giving it an imperfect sense. So we have vishachat, he will slaughter it, or in this case, he shall slaughter it, because we're giving instructions here. So the it is right here again, otah. We run into that now the third time in this verse. And then lifanav. Okay, lifan. I think we've run into this before. You can see that the root of it is panim, which is actually plural. Face is always plural. The actual root of it is pe nun he, but as a noun, face, you'll never see it singular. And then, but then it's used to mean the presence, and then as an adverb, it's of a location or temporal. It's before and behind, toward, and so on. So when you start off, you put a lamed in the beginning, and then you turn it into a construct with in this case, with a suffix ending, and then it means before or in the presence of something. So this av ending means him, so it's third person and masculine. And this is what it looks like when you stick that on the end of a plural word. It ends up being av. Otherwise, it's just o. If it's on a singular word, it's o. But so since face is always plural, it ends up being lefanav. Panav would be his face. You've heard his face possibly in the priestly blessing, but when you put the l in front of it, it just means before. So lifanav. Okay, so putting it all together, unitata ota, or unitatem ota, you shall give it Elazar hakohen, to Elazar the priest, ota, and he shall take it out, el michutz lamachane, to outside of the camp, shachat ota lefanav, and slaughter it before him. I think, if I remember right, the commentators are confused about who's supposed to bring it into whose presence here, because if he's supposed to be the one bringing it out, in whose presence is he supposed to be slaughtering this? So there's a lot of commentary, I'm sure, elaborating on that we won't get into right now. Maybe I'll give another verse, go through another verse. So now we're on verse Dalet, Pasuk Dalet, number 4. Vilakach Elazar hakohen midama ve'etzba'o vehiza el nochach, stresses on the no there, pnei ohel moed midama sheva pe'amim. Okay, so the lakach, so the root of this is easy, lakach, like that, it means to take, but it's in the conversive vav form, so he shall take. Elazar, and this is the subject of that verb, so Elazar shall take. HaKohen, the priest, we just had that, so Elazar HaKohen shall take. Midama. Okay, so we have dam is the root of this, dam, and it's blood. Okay, and so the ah on the end is the same as the ah on the end of otah, means its or her. So damah is her blood or its blood. And the mi is, usually we'll translate that as from or something like that. In this case, it means some of. All right, so we're not going to take all of the blood of the animal. We're going to take just some of the blood, which makes sense because he's supposed to just use his finger. It would be pretty hard to do all of that with his finger. So midama, so he shall take some of the blood. Some of the blood. 4 letters is all you need to translate that, or to express that in Hebrew. Be'etzba'o. So the word be'etzba'o comes from etzba. There we go. Etzba is a finger, or I suppose it could be a toe, but I think in this case we're going to be using his finger. And then o on the end, like I said before, is the suffix that means his or him. In this case, because it's not a noun, it's his. All right, so his finger. It's not av because it's only one finger. It's singular. So the singular noun, when it gets attached to a singular noun, it's just o. And then b in this case is indicating with. Sometimes that's in or on, but in this case it's using or with. So using his finger. So he shall take, Elazar Cohen shall take some of the blood with his finger. The hizah, okay, and so hizah means to sprinkle. And you can see it's got the noon in there that ends up getting absorbed into that dot in the zayin. So nazah is the basic root of it, but hizah is to sprinkle, and it's in the hefil, I think. Yeah, there you go. Hefil, to cause, to spurt, to sprinkle on. So basically he's dipping his finger and splashing the blood. Okay, so hizah. El nochach, so this is like the front. Right? Front. El nochach ends up being a prepositional phrase. Actually, this whole thing right here ends up being one complicated prepositional phrase in front of the front. So toward the front side, maybe we could say. And so that's what's going on there. And the reason I pointed out, because this is just there's a few words in here that have stress on a different syllable, but nochach would be one that I think somebody might not be expecting if they're unfamiliar with the word. And this mark right here helps guide you in those kinds of things. These are the cannellation symbols, or the ta'ameh hamikra, and they will always tell you where the stressed syllable is. So in a word like ohel, you've got this one right here that tells you it's on the o. You got on sheva, you got this one that tells you it's on the she. So even if you don't know what how to read these symbols, it can be useful at least for telling you where the stresses go. So nochach has got one up here. So okay, so el nochach paneh in toward the front side of, and then ohel is tent. Ohel, and so Abraham's tent is called an ohel, and so on. And then this is in a construct with this word right here, moed. Moed, you may know as a holiday, appointed time. It's also an appointed place, just appointment. It's people meeting at the same place at the same time. So ohel moed is a construct. So you'd say tent of meeting. And of course, this is the tabernacle in this case. Ohel moed. And then again, midama. It's the same word as this one here. Some of its blood. Okay, sheva. So yeah, I will come in and we'll put that whole word into context in a second here. Sheva is the number 7. Sheva. Maybe you've heard of a shavua is a week, and so sheva is related to that. Or if you've heard of sitting shiva, shiva is the masculine form of sheva. This is the feminine number. Numbers in Hebrew are either masculine or feminine. They change. So sheva is 7, and then pe'amim is times. So a pa'am is a time. So it's feminine, as you can see, even though it doesn't have a really feminine form, and you can see the plural looks like a masculine, but it's a feminine word, which is why it's sheva pe'amim and not shiv'at pe'amim or shiv'at pe'amim. Something like that. So pa'am is feminine, pe'amim times 7 times, sheva pe'amim 7 times. Okay, so Eleazar the Kohen is supposed to take some of the blood with his finger, and then he is to sprinkle toward the face of the tent of meeting some of its blood. So we would probably, when we translate this formally, we would put this over here. He will sprinkle some of its blood toward the face of the tent of meeting 7 times. Okay, I think that is where we'll finish. Any questions? Oh, you got a question?
Can you hear me?
Now I can. Yep.
Okay, I do have a question.
Great.
You talked about in verse 3 there the ambiguity of who's doing what.
Right.
Is there any way you can scroll down to verse 19?
Sure.
So I think we have the same situation there, and I was going to go back and read some commentary on it, but from my understanding, the one who sprinkles the water mixed with the ashes becomes unclean, but I couldn't find it clearly stated in the context. It's the only passage that I could find that would intimate that would be the case, but it's not clear.
Okay. Well, let's see. V'hiza tohar, or sorry, v'hiza hatahor ala tameh. So he shall sprinkle the pure on the impure. Bayom shlishi, on the 3rd day. B'yom hashvi'i, on the 7th day. V'chit'o bayom hashvi'i, and he will purify him on the 7th day. V'chibes bigadav, and he shall wash his clothes. V'rachatz b'mayim, and wash in water. V'taher ba'arev, and be pure and purified in the evening. So I'm not seeing somebody becoming impure in that particular verse.
Right. Just the washing and becoming pure in the evening. Maybe that's the implication. I'm not sure. It just seems like I've heard that before. Being ambiguous, you would think it would be for the one who is, impure, to begin with, the one that's receiving the water. I mean, that's the natural assumption. That's the context.
Yeah. So the pure person should. It says the pure person should sprinkle on the impure.
Right.
But it doesn't say in this verse about him becoming impure. I know that it's the case, but well, I don't know. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. So you're saying that this phrase "V'rachatz b'mayim," this whole phrase right here,
right,
saying belongs to the tahor that's referred to here.
Yeah, could belong to both of them.
Oh, both of them. Well, you'd think it would be plural if that were the case, but
I mean, I think contextually it belongs to the one receiving the sprinkling.
Yeah.
But I think it seems like I've heard the interpretation also referring to the one who's doing the sprinkling.
Yeah, according to Rashi, it just says he says he finishes his purification.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so
no indication of that.
Referring to he becomes pure on the 7th day. He's finishing his purification. So it seems that's what it seems to imply there. Let's see what else. The mala so he's at Tahor al Tameh. He's just talking about this, saying that above it refers to somebody who touches a dead body, but in this case we're talking about somebody who simply touched a bone or a grave. Emek Devar. Okay, Emek Devar says Shana Katuv Mitzvah Sheitaher Bizmano V'Yoma. Okay. That's not really helping us a lot. It is basically saying the mitzvah returns to the scripture returns back to the mitzvah that he should purify at the right time, and it quotes the Gemara there, and then and so he's saying that it's supposed to, it refers to the seventh day because that's when he's completely purified, not on the third day, since it's prior to his time.
Right.
And it says he's supposed to wash his clothes on that very day. So it's supposed to be on that same day. We do not learn from the scripture that the person who becomes impure of clothes is impure for 7 days. Just as we learned in Sefer Parashat Matot, that is written that you are to wash your clothes on the seventh day. Since people and humans and impure dishes are impure for 7. Anyway, he's getting into something else there.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem to be saying that. I wonder if there's any other.
I was just trying to figure out where I'd heard that and where it's coming from, or if that's even the case.
Well, yeah, it probably is the case, but I guess probably is going to be in a different verse.
So I haven't been able to find it. Let's see.
All right. Well, sorry, I can't help you right off the top of my head, but
there it is.
Maybe if I know.
It's verse 21. I just found it.
Oh. Okay. Anyone who touches that purifying water becomes impure until the evening. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Easy enough. Sorry for the rabbit trail.
No problem. I enjoy the interaction.
Very good. Appreciate you.
All right. Thank you, Darren, and I'll see you next week, God willing.
Okay.
All right.